like to bring this meeting to order for the Town of Brunswick Planning Board for February 19th, 2026. If everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our agenda this evening is as follows. And this was posted on the town website and the town board. Paramount Building Group, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision on a 31.92 acre parcel of land, as well as construction of a new road with a cul-de-sac and a water line extension on property located on the northeast corner of Spring Avenue and Crick Road. Paramount Building Group of New York is the applicant. Number 2, Fisher, minor subdivision. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval to subdivide an 82.17 acre parcel into 3 new lots on property located at 842 Tamarack Road. Rebecca Fisher is the applicant. Number 3, AT&T, amendments to site plans and special use permits. Applicant seeks amendments to 2 previously approved site plan and special use permit applications concerning wireless communication facilities located at 226 Bald Mountain Road and 88 to 90 Pellich Road. I goofed it up again, didn't I? AT&T is the applicant. And number 4, Silas Major Subdivision. Applicant wants to provide an update on a previously approved major subdivision. Jim Silas is the applicant. Our first order of business is to review the minutes of our previous meeting on February 5th. Does anybody have any additions, corrections, comments to be added? Okay, then I will make a motion to accept the minutes as they were presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda is the Paramount Building Group. Okay. Now, we had our public hearing last meeting. There was a 7-day extension period for written comments after the closing of the public hearing. And that concluded, I believe, on last Thursday, 12 midnight, obviously. We did receive some, which I believe that were presented to you. And you presented us with a response to these comments. And I would like at this time possibly to go through and review those responses.
Sure.
Okay. Does everybody have a copy of that? Okay. Yeah, you have the floor.
Sure. So would you like me to just kind of go in order and summarize the comment and then the response would be helpful?
Yes, just just to give a quick determination on different things. I don't think it's that long. I think we can pretty much go through it
Yeah.
item by item.
Absolutely. Okay. Not a problem. So the first issue, which is an issue we've been talking to the planning board about since, almost the outset of the project, is traffic. So is the construction and excavation phase, or even the final phase of the project, which is the subdivision, going to create issues with traffic? So we engaged Creighton Manning to do a traffic assessment focused on excavation, which was the biggest concern for traffic. They would have the most vehicles, obviously, compared to the resulting development, which would only be 17 homes in that cul-de-sac. Creighton Manning found, they looked at the roads, existing conditions, what the roads are rated for, and the timelines or what's the capacity of the roads, and the 3 timelines we provided to them for potential excavation, being 1 year, being the most aggressive time frame, 1.5 years, and 2 years. Based on that and the amount of trucks that would be needed for the construction excavation phase, Creighton Manning determined that it would not have an impact on the 2 potential routes that we had identified. To remind the board, there was 2 routes run and 3 timeframes run, just to cover all the different variables. The one route would be north on Creek Road, turning out of the subdivision, going north on Creek Road. The other route going south on Creek Road, east on Spring Ave. And we've provided a copy of that traffic analysis to the board, and it's part of the record. There were various comments or concerns or questions raised about sort of how the excavation is going to progress. Timeline, phasing, was there thought put into where you're going to start and where you're going to finish? Is during construction excavation activities, are there going to be stormwater controls? Is there going to be attention paid to groundwater impacts? Was there any attention paid to wetlands? For those concerns, those were covered by the excavation plan. So in our response to comments, we again cite the excavation plan and the different sections and different considerations that the excavation plan went through, and the measures that the excavation plan impose in order to mitigate impacts to those various areas. So timeline, hours of operation, best management practices for noise, best management practices for dust control, best management practices for erosion and sediment control. Made note, obviously, for stormwater that there's a SWIP for this site, and stormwater controls, which are on the site plan. The next comment was noise. And so the concern would be, would the excavation, and I can roll one of the other comments into this too, for noise, there was a question are there's going to be blasting during excavation? There is no blasting proposed with this site. It's all machine removal. So noise, when this issue first came up with the planning board, the applicant asked Hart Engineering to provide an acoustical analysis, which was reviewed by the planning board's engineer. And the acoustical analysis had some mitigating measures that would make sure that the project stayed within the appropriate sound levels. And those mitigation measures were then incorporated into the excavation plan. Dust, concerns with air quality during excavation, offsite travel of dust. We covered that in the excavation plan. We specifically imposed best management practices, or prepared the excavation plan to cover best management practices to address that, being they're going to have they're going to use water on site, water trucks to spray down the trucks and keep the trucks covered before they leave the site. So as they're traveling up Creek Road, Spring Avenue, they'll be covered. Impacts to groundwater. We noted that the prior, during the sort of, site evaluation phase and preparing the site plan, there was approximately 56 test pits were excavated on the site. And only the test pit's only at the lowest area of the site, which is where I think it's the infiltration basin is located. We're the only ones that came near groundwater.
Correct.
So as proposed and as covered in the site plan, and we discussed that in the activation plan, don't believe there's going to be, or we don't anticipate any impacts to groundwater at all.
May I ask one question?
Yeah,
on
of
that?
course.
Was there any evidence of any natural springs on that property,
No. No, there's not.
even in the areas possibly where there was no excavation?
Yeah, we traversed, I don't know how many steps I walked those couple of days, but it was quite a few. Traversed the entire property, front, back, crisscross, and there was no evidence of springs anywhere on the project.
All right.
So really just on those low points.
Okay. Thank you.
The next topic was wetlands. The applicant had engaged has engaged a wetlands professional to delineate the presence of wetlands on the site. The wetlands delineation was submitted to DEC and the Army Corps. I believe the DEC confirmed the findings,
Yes, yeah.
and
JD was issued.
yeah, and a JD was issued for the site. If we have the site plan was designed so that there would be no activities within the wetlands nor the wetlands buffer. So we don't anticipate any impacts to wetlands, being that we're even outside the buffer. Stormwater sediment and erosion control. As I noted, the project will have to seek coverage under the general permit for construction activities, which will require a SWIP, which has been prepared. And the SWIP will regulate the stormwater discharges on the site, along with the excavation plan, which also has mitigating measures in it to address sediment and erosion control. Community character. Looking around the vicinity of where the project is located, this project is a residential development. Proposes an 18-lot subdivision, 17 homes up on the cul-de-sac and one down on Spring Ave. We think it's in line with other residential developments in the area. And so we think it is consistent with the community character. There was some comments and concerns raised about property value. We didn't find any evidence to suggest that the construction of this subdivision would have any impact on anyone's property value, nor was any presented to us. Blasting, we've covered. There's no blasting involved in this project. And several comments had mentioned that this is a mine that would require a mining permit. To respond to that, in response, as the planning board knows, this was an issue that came up at the outset of the project. The first question the planning board asked us was, does this require a mining permit? Because if in the end it does, we don't want to go down the whole road of doing seeker and reviewing this project. And so at that time, we had reached out to DEC. DEC confirmed to us that they do not make determinations as to whether a project is a mine until the project receives its local approvals. The second question we asked them was, okay, that aside, would you want to be lead agency here? We circulated the lead agency notice to them, identified in the EAF that we would be seeking the exemption. And when we had our site visit, the DEC again confirmed to us, the Mineland Reclamation staff, that they will not confirm whether the project, they will not evaluate whether the project or make a determination as to whether the project will need a mining permit until we have our local approval, which is then why we sort of went forward with the project. And generally, our response is that under the Mineland Reclamation Law, there is an exemption for excavation on construction-related excavation, and that is not subject to mine land reclamation law.
I have a quick question on the mining.
Yeah.
There was an on-site meeting with
Correct.
DEC. And there is minutes that were presented for that.
Yeah, minutes were prepared of that meeting and reviewed by DEC and then submitted as a final to all the attendees at that meeting.
And the basic determination of that meeting was that this was not something that DEC wished to classify as a mine.
I think I have it
Yeah,
here.
the discussion of exemptions, they don't issue exemptions. We talked a little bit about seeker with them and whether or not
Yeah.
that they would consider taking lead agency, and they said typically only if it's a mine would they take lead agency on such an application.
Okay.
They also said that if it's a approved project and the removal of the material is part of the project, that they also don't normally consider that a mine and wouldn't require a mining permit.
I would suggest, just for the record, that possibly that meeting be mentioned in your response to the mining operations. Because I think that's important information, that DEC did meet with you. I can't recall whether I saw that in the,
I did. It's sort of buried in it's like almost the last sentence. But I go over to confirm, I'm just reading from the letter. It's in the second to last paragraph. To confirm a DEC permit was not required, the applicant arranged a site visit for DEC in the
Okay.
town at the
I
project
understand
site based on the information.
all right.
And I believe it was DEC that clarified in that, I guess, in the notes from our memo, the piece that they had added in was to confirm, and we will not make a determination on the permit until you have your local approval. So this sort of, from the first time they told us, that was February of last year.
Yeah.
The whole time, our plan is, once a determination or a decision is rendered by this board, if it was a positive determination to move forward, we would then be going to DEC to see, all right, now we have our approval that you asked for. Do we need a mine or not? Or do we need a permit or not?
And just maybe help for the benefit of everybody. Do you know what that review would look like at that point? In other words, are they just trying to confirm that because you have local approval, you are therefore a bona fide construction project and don't need a permit? Or are they evaluating anything else at that point?
So-
What would that review look like post-approval?
So the law only says excavation for construction-related projects is exempt. DEC typically, of what we've been advised, that DEC's criteria that they look at, which they went over on site, was they like to see the approvals as a way of verifying that this is actually going to come into fruition. And so that is a sort of checkbox to say, yes, at least they have the local approvals. Their jurisdiction, though, is continuing throughout the entirety of the project. And that is because they want to make sure that just because you have your approvals, the reason they don't issue the exemption letters, from what we understand, is so that they can keep an eye over the project and at any time come in and stop and say, all right, let's say somebody was excavating an area of the site that had nothing to do with the proposed construction, that they could come in and say, this is really just a mine, you're operating next to a subdivision. Or, you say that you're going to build a subdivision, but then you just walk away in the end, or it was just sort of a farce to get a mine going. And obviously we met with DEC, they understand, Paramount Building Group is not a mining company. They don't know, they're bringing in contractors to do this excavation. This is a real project. They said so at first they would start the conversation by we would have a local approval, and then they would start looking at everything. They've already looked at our grading. They're at least aware preliminarily of our grading plan. Because when we first reached out, we said, here's the grading plan. We think it's going to be about 400,000 cubic yards removed. And then their response was, we don't make a determination on this until you have your local approval. One of the things that they mentioned on site was as the project goes on, they would want to see the project actually come into fruition, like start putting the roads in, start putting utilities in. So they said that they get more comfortable as the project goes on if they see that non-excavation related work starts to move forward, like the foundation of one of these houses that's being proposed, so forth.
I have a quick question for anybody here. When does this, you have presented an excavation plan for 2 years. When does that start? On the approval of the project or when they first put the first shovel in the ground?
My understanding is when the actual construction begins. Not when you get your approval, but when you actually
When the
put
first.
the shovel in the ground.
Okay.
So the excavations that they've already made don't count?
No, that was
I
just,
think it's after the approval,
Well, after the approval.
after the approval,
Right.
not,
All right, so
I know the
after-
excavation has started, but there hasn't been approval for the
so
project.
what I'm asking basically is, for an example, if, for example, it gets approved and all of a sudden we don't have a contractor to do this. And all of a sudden stretches out to August before they start. Does the clock start in August when they drop a shovel?
That's my interpretation.
That
Yeah.
was my understanding from DEC as well.
Okay. I just want to, make that clear. So
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. There's only a couple outfits in this area that can handle that kind of hauling stuff. Who is it going to be? Can you tell us?
Do they have anyone?
Yeah, I don't think it's been determined yet, but yeah, there are probably, I can think of at least 4 outfits locally that could certainly handle.
When are you going to make this determination? Because I can tell you, nothing's going to happen until this board knows what's going on.
Sure. So if I may, typically for an agreement like that to be in place, the project would have to be realized. So if preliminary, my understanding is preliminary discussions have already been underway. So assuming there's a positive, approval of the subdivision plan, those discussions will be finalized at that time and contractor will be selected.
And I believe those conversations had started because when this first idea of 2 years came up, back to the applicant and said, this is really DEC jurisdiction now, not even dealing with the planning board, that he had reached out to a few of these contractors to have those preliminary discussions. And that's when they were able to confirm, we could do this on a year, or you could delay it and do a year and a half or 2 years. And so that's why we use those 3 numbers in the updated traffic report. That was based on conversations with the excavators.
So would it be possible for this board to know the terms of the contract with the hauler as to when they're going to start? Because if we were to approve this tonight, but you didn't start till August.
Yep.
Now you're just kind of dragging your feet. So you know where I'm going with this?
Right. I understand the concern is the time period between when the subdivision approval decision would be granted and when construction would commence. I can talk to the client about that to try to give you a better idea or see what we can do to try to address that concern. Is there a particular concern about it not starting to August that you had, or?
I have one concern
Sure.
about this, and that is that there's been a lot of comments at the public hearing, in particular about the use of Crick Road. And I would like to make sure that any contract that you have for, excavator would not include truck routes on Crick Road. Because I don't, first of all,
Northbound.
northbound on Crick
Well,
Road.
they would have to get a permit from the Rensselaer County.
Yeah.
It still wouldn't.
I
be
don't,
safe.
I don't know if you've been to the county yet for that. Have you spoken with anybody?
For
The highway
overweight,
department?
for overweight
No, a
permit.
permit to use, yes, northbound. Now, my understanding is every few of the meetings, I think you had addressed that you were not going to use northbound Creek Road. Am I right or am I wrong?
So we evaluated both ways, but it seemed like the most likely, with the discussions that are being had preliminarily with potential contractors, the most likely routes look like southbound on Crick to Spring. So that's correct.
But we still do not have an answer whether, a no for northbound. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you put this out to bid, can you specify that no traffic goes north on Crick Road? Can you do that?
I'd have to think about that.
I mean,
No, I'm not saying that not saying that we're unwilling to do it or think about whether we would agree to something like that, to be clear to the board members. It would be if we were,
Yes, many times.
So you know how many blind curves there are.
With posted speed limits for those curves.
It's just not reasonable to expect.
well, there's also a test.
To go down Crick Road in the northbound direction. It's just not sensible.
I just want to address, I just be aware that we're trying to address a concern by many people that spoke at the public hearing, that they are, to me, you're going to have traffic, but they don't want it to go north on Crick Road because of, just the nature of the road, the residents and so forth and so on that are there. And I'm trying to figure out whether there can be something in your contract negotiations and say, we have been, we don't, regardless of what the county says, the county may agree with us on this. To avoid Crick Road going north.
I would make a suggestion to contact the county
Mm-hmm.
and see what they would have to say before we keep guessing whether we're using northbound or not.
That's the specific question to him.
I think it's important that that contact be made sooner than later and that we get something in response from the county in order for us to consider any conditions that we may place on potential approval of this.
yeah. And to be clear, my comment that we would have to think about it is just what would that look like? What would the language look like? Would it be a condition to the permit? Would it be something we would put in the contract with the bids, with the hauler? So that's what I meant by that. So
Yeah.
we just need to consider how we could address that concern.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions on the responses to the public hearing?
And, tell me about acoustic mitigation. We listed several pieces of equipment that are going to be out there, bulldozers, front end loaders, excavators, trucks. What's your game plan for acoustic mitigation?
Sure. Yeah,
I
so
mean, are you going to just say mufflers?
that's a pretty critical part.
Absolutely, it is, but
If you've ever heard a
This
Detroit
equipment-
diesel-powered scraper running on a site, then you know how
this
important mufflers are.
equipment still makes a lot of noise, even with mufflers.
Yep.
Do you have anything besides mufflers?
Yeah, so with the proposed phasing of the excavation plan, it was coming into, I can, if I may, it's basically phase 1, 2, 3, 4. As we come in, proposal be for construction of the road, you're gonna be kind of excavating downwards and leaving berms on both sides of the excavation, which is very helpful for acoustic attenuation. And also the distance where the primary excavation is taking place is going to be the furthest point from surrounding residences.
Okay,
We said no blasting, things of that nature. That's
wow,
very-
that's something else. Um, See, some inconsistencies in the numbers regarding the amount of fill to be taken out of it. I can't put my finger on it, but you were gonna leave so many thousands of acres.
Cubic yards.
Yards of, thank you, fill,
Yes, sir.
for landscaping and site work and things like that.
Yep.
But your total was still over 400,000.
Correct. Correct, yeah, approximately.
Okay, so what is it? Do you have any idea? Is it 400? Is it 450? Is it 420?
I think that number is in the,
Can we get a?
Yes,
can we get that
yeah, we
nailed down a
did,
little
we
bit
did give
more?
a specific number. And I believe that's included in the excavation plan and prior submission to the board. I believe it's either 420 or 425,000, plus or minus yards.
All right. So, how many yards is each truck gonna hold, do you know? You don't know, because you don't know what kind of trucks you're gonna have.
I think, yeah, approximately 20.
20 yards in the truck. Okay, so for the sake of argument, it's 400,000 yards divided by 20. Is what,
20,000.
25?
25.
trucks.
20,000 trucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20,000 trucks.
and those calculations are all in the traffic analysis as well. They broke it down, how they determined how many
And your
trucks.
traffic analysis says no impact.
Sorry, I can, sorry?
Doesn't your traffic analysis say that this is no impact?
Correct.
20,000 trucks is no impact?
Correct, over a year and a half, and 2-year spans. Sorry, I can't,
I said, I got a hard time with that, with 20,000 trucks. It's just it's a lot of traffic on narrow roads. I question the finding that there's little to no impact here.
well, it was this board that found that there was little to no impact
I
there.
don't know.
And the planning board's engineer reviewed the traffic study and commented on it. I mean, it clearly shows that these roads have capacity for way more traffic that they're being subject to right now.
Well,
And just maybe, can you remind us, I know the applicant has looked at different time periods for the purpose of these studies. The actual excavation period, is that the 1 year, the 1.5, or the 2 year?
That was if excavation was going to,
What's the plan? So in other words, if you got approval today, the goal is it 2 years? Is it 1 year? Is it 1.5 years?
I think the goal would be to do it as fast as possible to
Yeah,
get,
closer to the 1 year.
yeah, to get it, to try to get as close to the 1 year, to give as much as a buffer against the 2-year
So
sort of
the
bookend.
target is to try to do it within 1 year.
I think originally we had estimated maybe it could be done in 1 year, but we put a buffer in there at 1.5, and that's why we went back to the excavators, had those preliminary discussions. They said, no, we could do this in a year.
all right, so you What's the frequency of these trucks going to be on a daily basis?
These,
There's again,
They've talked about
Yeah.
16 an hour.
16 an
That-
hour?
something like
or
that.
18.
at the 1 year.
All right.
Are you asking at the 1 year, sir?
So let me just ask someone who probably has a lot of knowledge about this. How long does it take to fill up a 20-yard truck?
Depends on the size of the bucket.
Abel, you know, any idea?
Depends on the bucket, yeah.
Oh, no. It'll be a big bucket.
I just, I'm going to ask a quick question related to this. When you're doing 16 to 20 trucks an hour, is there going to be a stacking issue on Crick Road? As far as trucks backed up and ready to go? Have you is there going to be a stacking area on site? It's going to be done first, like a staging area? Or there will be no stacking on Crick Road, right?
Yeah. So part of the first phasing plan is making that initial cut in, basically. So that provides the beginning of the road, the stabilized construction entrance, and what would be the staging area.
Okay,
And we can always add a condition to make sure that no trucks back up or build up on Creek Road.
yeah, well, definitely that's going to be a traffic issue if it does, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
How would that condition be monitored? You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to say, don't do that. But when you got trucks coming in and out every X number of minutes per hour, how do you avoid that from happening? And what do you do if it does happen? How would we write that condition?
We can think about that.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
so I think, not to jump ahead, but I think part of this board's considerations are going to be trying to come up with any appropriate conditions the board members might want to attach.
Absolutely.
Part of that is going to be, I think, some dialogue about the nature of those conditions and how they might be best phrased to both meet the board members' concerns and also to be enforceable. They can be monitored, they can be enforced. So having that dialogue will probably help.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yep.
So when you're talking about the 4 phases of the excavation plan, is the roadway going to be completely built? Or will that be in the phases as well? So when you're talking about removal of phase 1, the road goes to phase 1, stops. You're going to enter phase 2, the road continues into phase 2, or is the road going to be done at the very beginning of the whole project?
Yeah, so what they likely do is work through the phasing, establish at the subgrade, and get the subbase down for that section of the road, move into the next phase. That's how we foresee it occurring. And as phase 1 is completed, the shoulders of the road and those lots that are now at their proposed grade are going to be temporarily stabilized. One, it's contingencies of the stormwater pollution prevention plan, minimizing exposed area. There are limits on the timelines on leaving those soils exposed. It also helps from an erosion control standpoint, dust control, things of that nature. So you try to establish temporary growth on those soils as they move from phase to phase.
So is there any chance that any of the houses would start being built while you're in phase 3, phase 4? Would phase 1 construction of the houses be started? So you've actually got people living in the development while you're actually excavating another 100,000 yards?
So I believe, I'm trying to remember this town's code, as far as prior to issuance of the building permit, if it's required to have the road dedicated, prior to issuance of the first building permit. So I think the road would at least have to have the binder course on it, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's.
Yeah, typically that's the case.
Okay.
I was just wondering because of, utilities to the residences, fire hydrants,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
whether-
certainly.
Whether that would be,
Yeah, that would be all part of the installation of the infrastructure prior to the road being dedicated. So that would be monitored. That would be monitored during the installation. And then, yes, tested, the water mains and fire hydrant being tested, disinfected per standards prior to handover and the road, dedication of the road.
so there is a possibility of house construction prior to the excavation,
Prior to the excavation being completed?
before the full excavation plan is completed, there's a possibility of residential house construction being started.
I think if there were to be overlap, it would be, due to the timeline for what it takes to construct a home. I think if there were any overlap on the construction process, it would be pretty minimal.
Now, I look at it that the water main would have to be run to the cul-de-sac in order, the hydrant at the end, so that we would have water there before you do any construction.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the road needing to be dedicated prior to issuance of the building permit for the.
Did you get a chance to ask the applicant about extending the water main north on Creek Road?
We did get to discuss that just briefly. We have not been able to discuss that in any lengthy detail. One of the things we started looking at was the number of homes in that area. So it looked like there were probably 3 or 4 homes in this area. Basically, we discussed potentially extending the line to here. And I think 2 of the homes have driveways that are 400 or 500 feet long. As well as there was 1 home that was actually within one or possibly 2 homes that were within a close proximity to that main extension. So we looked at basically the number of homes that would potentially be serviced by it. And it didn't seem like there was a significant potential for demand north of here. But we did begin discussions on it. So
I believe in the past, developers have extended the main so that the towns eventually could continue on up the road, whatever development.
No.
And again, it's just a suggestion.
sure, yeah, it's certainly not required for what we're proposing to service and improve fire safety in the subdivision here.
There was some concerns by some of the people about who have wells on Creek Road, and whether they'd be affected by the excavation and so forth and so on. I believe you answered that possibly at the public hearing and stated that there would be no, there wouldn't be any effect on those wells at all. Is that correct?
Yeah, certainly. So we're not proposing, all these homes are going to be serviced by public water, so they're not going to be withdrawing from the aquifer that homes to the west side of Creek Road are
Okay.
currently fed out of.
All right. And just as a note, I think there was a reference to wells being possibly in Springbrook by one of the people that spoke, and we checked that out. There is public water in Spring Landing, so there is no wells to compare. I think somebody was trying to compare a previous gravel pit that was reclaimed for residential area, which is it Springbrook? Is that Spring Landing, excuse me. Spring Landing, which is, to the west of you on Spring Avenue, on the other side of Moxie's. that
Oh.
area.
Okay,
Now it used to be a gravel pit.
yes.
And I think it was mentioned that, people have had problems with wells there. Well, I don't know where that information came from, but we checked it out. There are no wells in Spring Landing. It's all public water. So just to clarify that. Appreciate that. Yeah.
To stay on that topic, other,
We checked out Springbrook, not Spring Landing.
Springbrook, which one is?
We checked out Springbrook. The one over here,
Springbrook
not
is over
Spring
here.
Landing.
Springbrook is where?
Right off of 7.
yes.
Spring Landing is.
Yeah. You checked Spring Landing, right?
No, you asked me to check Springbrook. That's what we talked about.
Well, in disregard that last
Disregard.
comments that I just made, I misunderstood. Okay. All right.
On the topic of water, Do you know if the two houses across Spring Avenue to the south are serviced by municipal water?
I believe one of the people who spoke said that they live there and that they are on a well. There is a main that runs past there. Just know from past experience in the area. But I believe one of the people who spoke at public hearing did say they're on a well.
Wayne, is there any benefit to having a well survey done prior to the excavation so that we have a basis point?
I think knowing where the water table is one of the most critical pieces of this. If they're not disturbing the water table, they're not down to the water table. Typically, well surveys are done if there's any kind of blasting or even a significant number of wells drilled, which they're not doing. That's typically when you do a well survey.
And then I had another question about the amount of excavation is going into, far below horizons A and B of the soils. Is there a protocol to repair some of the soils? Putting 6 inches of topsoil on top of gravel might not be sufficient for growing. If we're excavating down to something that has no nutrient level.
It's a good question. They will strip the topsoil and save the topsoil, right? They'll be stockpiling the existing topsoil
It's
and then
my
using.
quick calculation based on the EAF, it's like 8 acres of grass is going to be maintained meadow, they call it, which would be about 6,000 cubic yards of material. Is that
That's a lot.
consistent with your calculations?
Considering the area, barring playing my calculator.
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the excavation plan. Maybe that could be
Yeah,
added, some of the details about,
yeah, the for establishment.
restoration.
So part of the stormwater pollution prevention plan does discuss restoration of graded soils.
Mhm.
So that is included in the SWIP for the project. So
Okay, any other questions?
How big of a home do you plan to build?
I don't think there's a specific
There's a
size,
range, there's gotta be 1,000, 10,000?
square feet.
Yeah,
It would certainly be within zoning.
What's that?
It would certainly be within zoning requirements, but I don't think there's anything that's been specifically set aside for this, but just seeing what's on the market these days, probably somewhere in the ballpark, I'm guessing. Please, this is just, loose numbers, 1,800 to 2,800 square feet seems to be common home sizes these days.
Paramount
we can-
Building.
We can confirm that with the client
Yeah.
too.
Will these be
Paramount Building,
manufactured
gonna build the homes or
Yes.
are you, okay.
Will these be
Sorry.
manufactured homes?
No.
Well, yeah. How, the test pits you dug, how deep were they and what did you dig them with?
Test pits were dug with I'm trying to remember the class of the excavator, but a very large excavator.
Because I've been by there a lot and I didn't see any sign of disturbance, but now there's snow on it. but-
I've seen the test pits
All right.
right after they dug them.
And then bonding to protect the town if something happens and you guys walk away. I think there should be a substantial bond that we can put the site back to something that's not gravel bank?
Like a
The neighborhood has a
reclamation
history
bond?
of-
Essentially, the equivalent of a reclamation bond to protect against the contingency of you guys start, not you guys, but the applicant starts, something happens, they can't finish, the land is halfway excavated, halfway not excavated, applicant disappears, town needs to come in to remediate the condition. Obviously, we prefer to have the applicant pay for that through a bond than through town funds. So
Okay.
that's something this board, I think, would consider attaching as a condition. The question's going to be, what would that amount be, right?
Okay.
And certainly, you know,
And as soon as you guys are in those discussions, we'd be happy to look at.
we're in those discussions.
Okay.
So, you know, we'd certainly be interested in the applicant's perspective as to what a reasonable bond amount would be. Again, essentially a reclamation bond. Obviously, your number is not the final word on the subject, but, you know, certainly we can see what you guys would propose and see how that sits with the members.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I do. Sorry. On your grading plan for, I can't read these lots, 15, 13, 14, and 15, you have a large area that's grading toward the detention basin. It is a detention basin, correct? It's not infiltration.
It is an infiltration basin.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got 3-4 days that'll all drain into an infiltration basin.
Okay.
Yep, you're right.
And in other areas of the site, you have much steeper slopes coming at the height, the homes proposed. Is it possible to mimic those steeper slopes behind those houses so that we can reduce some of the grading and retain some of the vegetation that's existing on site?
Between, basically in this area. So right now, I think to do that, you would end up with very steep slopes. Basically, you create an incredibly steep ridge to get to grade for this home, to not have a steep driveway coming in. And then to meet grade down here, I think you'd end up trying to preserve an existing grade. There would be a point where you try to preserve it, and you probably end up with a very steep cut up towards it, and then a very steep drop off towards the forebay. Once that grade is cut in, because this would be a very steep face that would be difficult to vegetate most likely and maintain.
Well, you have a steep slope on the other side at the back corner. I'd just like to see some kind of mitigation of these set 15 acres of vegetation that you're taking off the site. Either by way of replanting trees or revegetating buffer areas.
Specifically at the backs of 13, 14, and 15.
That's where I perceive you have some opportunity to
Yeah.
do such a,
I think, I'm trying to recall any slopes in that area. I don't think any exceed 4-on-1. Typically, once we hit 3-on-1, that's when we propose something like erosion control matting.
fine with that.
But is that something?
I just think
Erosion control mat- is that something
there's an
that-
opportunity to save some of that mature vegetation and not grade that entire, I don't even know how many thousand linear feet. You're going from property line to property line right now with contours.
Yeah, yes, that's directing flow from the rear of these lots, allowing it to drain towards to the stormwater basin. We can certainly look at the slopes in that area, but just because of the way of the grading on these lots, I don't know that you'd be able to actually maintain that vegetation without it being One, I don't think it'd be very aesthetic, because it would be like large front. Very steep slopes on either side, coming up here and then down here, visible from the road, as opposed to kind of the rolling hills aesthetic there. But I'll certainly look at the grades there, existing, those lots 13, 14, 15.
And then I had a question about the grading plan in relationship to the utility line that's existing at the back of the site. Maybe you could show us a profile or section of the northeast side where it appears like grading is going in to affect that last power pole.
Of the utility line?
Mhm.
Yes, one, that pole may need to be reset.
So is it above ground or below ground utilities for power, cable, phone? Are you doing underground? or-
Being proposed? Yeah, being proposed is below ground.
I think the National Grid almost mandates that.
I do believe, I think it's from their standards.
At this time, I'd like to just discuss a letter that we got from, the town got from DEC. This is addressed to Supervisor Harrington, and it was dated February 17, 2026. I believe you already got a copy of this. Did you?
We did get a copy of it.
And basically, they wish to review the proposed excavation plan and the routing of the traffic and so forth and so on by Creighton Manning. And that material reports have been given to the DEC. This would be Sean Mahar, who's the regional director. He responded back today in an email, and he said, thanks for your, address to Kevin, thanks for your prompt reply and additional information. Our experts are reviewing this and have additional questions and concern regarding the DEC's potential jurisdiction in this matter. We would like to be respectfully request a meeting with you and the appropriate members of the town before any action is taken on this project. So we are moving forward to arrange a meeting with Mr. Mahar.
Great.
And we don't know what's going to come out of that, but he has requested a meeting, so
Great.
we are going to pursue that. Did you get a copy of that email?
Yeah. I don't know if we got a copy of the email. We got a copy of the letter. We've responded and sent over the excavation plan and traffic study and said, let them know if they have any other questions, they can always reach out to us as well.
Okay. I think at this point, if we should talk about the timeline.
So let's go over that, okay?
Okay.
So the town has subdivision regulations that prescribe the process to be followed by the planning board in considering a major subdivision like this one. The regulations provide that within 45 days of the public hearing, which we held on February 5th, the planning board is required to act on the preliminary plat, and that action can be either approve with modifications or conditions, or disapprove. The 45-day period, starting from February 5th, I believe expires as of March 22nd. That leaves, as of right now, 2 planning board meetings between now and the expiration. First one is March 5th. Second one is March 19th. So if nothing changes under that timeline, and assuming that timeline applies, and there's a question in my mind, at least, maybe not everybody's, but my mind, about whether or not the inquiry from DEC and whether they are revisiting their jurisdiction of the project as it relates to potential mining changes anything in terms of what's been done up to this point, but let's set that aside for a second. If nothing else changes, the board would need to take action, one of those options by March 19th. I would note, and I had a conversation with Mr. Ruane earlier today, that timeframe can be extended upon mutual consent between the planning board and the applicant. If everybody agrees to push that timeframe out, we can do that. One of the things that, setting aside the DEC stuff for a second, and you had raised some questions, folks had raised some questions that relate to potential conditions that the board might want to consider. That may take some time to flesh out, but right now that is the timeframe that we're dealing with.
Okay. Everybody understand that? So I think with that in mind, we did talk about some possible conditions and everything. And as far as I can tell, we should proceed with trying to formulate conditions that would mitigate some of these concerns. In the meantime, I think we have to see what comes out of this DEC meeting. I think the question I'm going to ask is, if we run into a timeline that seems to be reasonably moving forward, would you be opposed to asking the applicant whether he would be willing to extend?
I would not be opposed to asking him. After I spoke with the planning board attorney, I made a note to myself to bring that up because as your attorney said, once the public hearing closes, we are on a timeline. So I will discuss that with my client.
The only question I do have is, does the time start at the end of the written period?
So I can only go by what's written in the regulations, and the regulations say within 45 days of the public hearing. So I am not extending that to reflect the fact that you accepted public written comments for an additional week.
Okay.
So I'm doing it from February 5th.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm going to ask the board to, kind of analyze the responses. If we were to move forward with a conditional approval, we should keep in mind what those conditions should be. And hopefully we'll be able to report something at our next meeting on regards to the DEC conversation.
And if before that meeting, there's anything you want, documents or anything to prepare for that, just let us know and we'll send it on over.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So right now, we'll put you on the agenda for our next meeting, just to keep things moving.
Thank you.
And we'll see you then. That next meeting is on the March 5th,
The 5th and the 19th were the two meetings.
Correct.
Yeah.
okay?
The
Does
only
anybody
way I
have any other questions for the applicant before?
was going to say, the only reason why I know that is because February had 28 days, so it's the same days this month.
That's right.
All right. Do you have any other questions for the board?
No, not at this
Okay,
time.
we're all set? All right,
Thank you.
then. Thank
Have a
you,
good night.
gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, next on our agenda is the Fisher Minor Subdivision.
Paul Angster for the applicant, Rebecca Fisher. Mark Danskin asked me to stand in for him this evening. He had a prior commitment elsewhere. And he advised me that the stormwater pollution prevention plan had been submitted to the town
That's
for Mr. Bonesteel's review. And he also advised me that he filed today the erosion and sediment control plans.
Correct.
And I have previously submitted the private roadway maintenance agreement, which I believe council has reviewed and approved.
Correct.
So I'm just here to, in case.
All right, I am going to turn the floor over right now to Wayne. He has sort of reviewed the information. He just got it
Yeah,
on.
well, we did receive the SWIP a couple of days ago. It was Tuesday. and the plan, the erosion sediment control plans, they do appear to be complete. There is enough detail in here for my review. So we will continue to review the SWIP and the erosion sediment control plan, but I would say that I would be willing to consider these, the subdivision plan with the added erosion sediment control plan to be complete, a complete application. They've provided everything that I've asked for.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Wayne has, determined that these are complete for basically public hearing. So we could schedule a public hearing. But I want to, first of all, ask the board whether they have any questions on this.
We do need to send this to the county. No, subdivisions.
You send it to them?
Good, because I didn't hear what you said. Are you taking that back?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. If there's no questions, I would suggest that we possibly schedule the public hearing, and that would be 2 meetings from now. We can schedule it for the 19th of March. So,
Very good.
Does that work for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have anything else we need to know?
No, I'm all set. Thank
Okay,
you
then
very
we're-
much.
We will adjourn you. You won't be here at our next meeting, but we'll adjourn you to the 19th.
19th.
So I just want to make sure you don't show up on next meeting for whatever reason.
I don't have any plans to at this point.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. Okay, next on our agenda is the AT&T. Well, just for the record, that public hearing will start at 7 p.m. Okay, you have the floor.
All right. I'm Martha Grady. I'm representing AT&T. We're seeking a revision.
Could you just lower?
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. That better?
I think so.
Okay. Seeking a revision to 2 previously approved special use permits for 2 existing cell phone tower sites. One at 227 Bald Mountain Road, the second being at 90 Palach Road. AT&T currently is a carrier on both towers. We're looking to swap out equipment like for like on both towers. I'm not sure if we want to do one tower at a time or how we want to.
Let's do one tower at a time.
Okay,
Yes.
2 different towers.
Are they, is this similar to the swap out that you did, last March? was it?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, okay. Is there any extension to the,
No extensions. Footprint won't be affected. Height will not be affected. Just swapping out equipment.
okay? Is there additional equipment put on the pad?
On the pad, no.
Okay.
So
So you're
one,
strictly just replacing stuff, that's what you're doing?
correct, on the existing mount.
Okay. And what's the reason for this? Just outdated stuff?
Outdated equipment, yep. Just to accommodate the higher demand for internet essentially on everyone's phones
Okay.
for demand.
Is any of the equipment for FirstNet?
It is, yep.
What was that question?
FirstNet, so there was a FirstNet authority for public safety band, AT&T has an actual contract with us.
Okay,
So it'd be band 14 equipment on there for the FirstNet authority.
Correct, yep.
okay. Anybody have, this is the first time we've received this. So it's kind of,
This is strictly going on the tower?
On the
Is that what I
tower,
heard?
yes, yep. I believe one's a monopole, one's a self-support, already constructed. We submitted structural analysis reports for both were passing. No analysis
Are
as
you,
well.
are you like changing from sectorized panels to like omnidirectional width?
No, the azimuth staying the same, everything's staying.
The same?
Yes,
Okay. So the look will be the same.
it'll be the same. Now, Bald Mountain, that's the one on 227 Bald Mountain. This is the one, oh no, I apologize, that's 9 for 9. Pallets Road, we're adding 3 additional antennas. So 1 new antenna on each sector.
okay.
But it's on the existing mount, we're not swapping out the mount. It's the same.
What type of antennas are those, the additional ones?
They're Ericsson Air antennas, they're
They're just,
standard.
they're not like the big panels you see, the sectorized panels that you see on.
No,
you know what I mean?
there should be a picture here. I want to say they're like 4 feet tall. They're actually
Well,
smaller.
they're not, yeah, they're not gonna change the look.
No.
Yeah.
No, they shouldn't.
I think they put asphalt.
They're, I want to say lengthwise, I believe they're, instead of 8 feet, I think they're about 6 feet long. So that means they're smaller than the existing. So they're going right in the center,
On the same mounts. you
on the
said.
same mount. Yep.
And then you're adding 3 new Ericssons.
Ericsson is the brand of the antenna. Yes, 3 new antennas.
Wayne, you have any questions on this?
Nope, no questions. I asked my questions.
All right. Is there a need to review this any further?
I don't need to review it further.
Okay. And you would say it would be complete to proceed with a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? We can do the public hearing with the second, with the first one at 7:15. I don't think there's going to be. Does anybody have a problem with putting the two together?
Nobody's gonna
Or
show
do
for
you
either
wanna-
one, so.
I mean, we can push it out to the next meeting if you want.
No, let's get it done.
Okay, let's get it done.
I got
Okay, then we'll-
AT&T and I could use better service.
Okay, we want this done, yeah, I guess. So we will schedule your public hearing for the 19th of March,
March 19th, okay?
and that would be at 7:15. It would completely follow the first one that we already have scheduled. So,
All right,
okay,
that's it. All right, thank you very much.
okay,
Say
you're
that.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Silas. Oh, okay. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Good evening. Community easel, correct?
Absolutely.
Small fee.
Don't try to walk out.
Excellent. Well, good evening. My name is Aaron Vera. I'm with Verity Engineering. I'm here tonight representing JJ Silas Builders, Inc., the owners of property on Cole Lane. Just so that I have some reference, how many planning board members have seen this project before? I know that it's kind of been in the works for. Okay. Apologies, some of this is going to be repetitive then. The parcel of land we have is about 16.2 acres. It's in an R25 zone, which is 25,000 square foot minimum lot size. The proposal that we have is a 15 lot subdivision. 14 of those lots would be single family homes. One lot, the lot furthest down the hill, closest to Cole Lane, would be for a stormwater management practice. The road is about 1,600 feet long, including the loop cul-de-sac. It's about 800 feet until you get to the tip of that cul-de-sac. It's got kind of a teardrop shape to it, just to give you an idea of the scale. Max grade on that road is 10%. We're looking at servicing the homes using municipal water available on Cole Lane, so we would extend a dead-end water line along with hydrants up the hill. The lots would be served by private septic. It is the intent of the applicant to dedicate this roadway to the town, although the stormwater practices themselves, we're considering incorporating an HOA in order to maintain and manage those in perpetuity. The project as a whole, including all of the lots and the grading that's shown, would ultimately result in about 11.3 acres of disturbance. We do believe that we could put the roadway in under the 5-acre waiver requirement for the Speedies permit. We did receive a SHPO sign-off back in 2021. Again, I know this has been around for quite some time, with no further action required for that. We also did prepare a SWIP back in 2021. I don't know, Mr. Bonesteel, if you had a chance to review that back then. I think there's some comments that we're trying to work through with.
Yeah, we did some review on that, and together with Bill Bradley.
Yes, yep.
There's been quite a lot of back and forth
on that. So we do anticipate the need to revise that report. As the years have gone on here, DEC came out with a new permit at the beginning of 25, and so we have to make some revisions to that document. The design itself, though, we don't anticipate any changes to. Mike's gonna pick me up, but we have a stormwater management practice up here in the middle of the cul-de-sac. And then we would have another one down here, lot 15. That handles most of the stormwater with the exception of lot 9, that's all the way in the back. Based on the grading, we just don't have the ability economically to get the stormwater into that practice that's up in the center of the cul-de-sac. So we intend to have a small little practice for that lot by a retention area rain garden. All of the other practices are infiltration basins. We did some feasibility testing on the site a few years ago. The soils were very conducive to infiltration, and we designed all of the practices with an infiltration rate of 3.5 inches an hour. More recently, that lower infiltration basin, with the state's change in the wetland regulations at the beginning of last year, we did go through the process of having wetlands on the site flagged. There is a small wetland that was identified in that area. I want to say 2,400 square feet, so about 6/100ths of an acre. And we're awaiting correspondence back from DEC about whether or not they would take jurisdiction to that.
Where is that?
That would be located right around here. We don't anticipate they'll take jurisdiction given its isolated nature and its size. And in the event they do not, it would still be subject to Army Corps regulations. So we would be looking at a nationwide permit in order to fill that wetland. Well, actually excavate it for the infiltration basin.
So your detention pond is in the wetlands area.
It's larger than this. Yes, the infiltration basin is larger than the wetland itself. The wetland is just this very small pocket. What has happened over the years, actually, this might have taken place, Jim, do you know how many years ago you were?
36.
36, many years ago, that area was excavated. There's some really nice sandy soils on the site. And so what we believe happened is when the owner removed that material, it created a little bit of a depression. And over the years, silt from runoff from further up the site washed down and kind of plugged up the soil down there. And so that led to the creation of, it's a theory of ours that led to the creation of the small wetland. Because we did some test pitting in that area. And when you get below the first 3 or 4 feet of soil, you're right back into this very coarse sand. So, again, we don't anticipate it being an issue, but we do have to wait to get that correspondence back from DEC about whether or not it is jurisdictional to them. Some of the minor changes that were discussed with town departments, the infiltration basin that we're proposing at the bottom of this road, we designed it without a piped emergency outlet. The emergency outlet was originally designed just with a riprap spillway. I believe it was Bill Bradley prefers to have that hard piped under Cole Lane to the slope on the that would be on the western side of Cole Lane and directed down the slope. So we would be looking to make that change. And then there were some
French drain
no, we would probably do that with a 12 to 18 inch
Just worry
corrugated
about
plastic
somebody
pipe.
you had bad rain, somebody gets sucked into that pipe.
Oh, no, we would have, we would have a concrete structure with a grate on top, and it would be an emergency spillway that way. Yep. I think that's,
Let me
oh,
ask
sorry,
a
go ahead.
question. Dave, do you remember we visited that site with Mark Hessman? And there were some concerns on the other side of Cole Lane about the erosion and so forth and so on. How was that corrected?
I don't know. It's been a few engineers ago.
Yeah.
Something we'll have to look at.
Yeah, and Bill's been looking at that as well.
Yeah.
Bradley.
You get that water running out of that pipe, you're gonna.
It is just an overflow, and I think the design's a bit conservative as far as what will infiltrate and what will build up in a 100-year storm and overflow. But
Yes, this would, as designed, we were very conservative with the infiltration rate. We typically have the infiltration rate we measure in the field just to account for, either lack of maintenance or untimely maintenance of structures like that. The other thing we can do with the pipe the outlet pipe that we're proposing would be to come out of that slope as far down as possible, drop a structure just on the east side of Cole Lane, go down as far as we can, as far as, is feasible, and get the pipe as close to the bottom of the slope as possible, and then just rip wrap all the way down until the grade kind of flattens out at the bottom there.
Who's responsible for cleaning that out, though?
So any stormwater proposed on this project, that would include the culverts, the infiltration basins, and that outfall. At this point, the proposal is that all of that would be managed by the HOA.
if we don't decide to do a drainage district there, which still has to be discussed.
Yeah.
I can tell you my development, that there's a similar situation there, the same thing. There's a drainage grate on somebody's property. It's supposed to drain under Heather Ridge Road and into a swampy area. It's not maintained, and the residents has flooded several times. So that's why I asked the question.
If we go to a drainage district, then it would be the town that would maintain it.
Yeah, and this is that outlet control structure, or the emergency overflow, that is only for storms larger than the 100-year event. So we are talking.
They happen every year now.
We could take a look at the modeling. I think we're talking anything above 8 or 9 inches of rainfall in 24 hours. So it's a pretty big storm. But yes, they are increasing, certainly.
And is the discharge onto public land?
The discharge would be into an existing drainage way. I'd have to get back to you on who has rights exactly. So I appreciate that comment. We'll take a look at that.
Yeah, there may have to be some type of easement created.
I thought the HOAs weren't doing the stormwater management anymore.
Well, I think we started this on Sharp Road where we decided against requiring an HOA for stormwater maintenance because the HOAs weren't doing their job.
Well,
So yeah, I think this will likely go to a drainage district where people in the district are taxed and that money goes towards maintenance of the stormwater with town forces.
So anyway, that's the general overview of the project itself. What, in addition to any comments that the board members may have this evening, we are ultimately looking to move the process along. And I know the board has seen this a number of times, but it's my understanding that the seeker process, while it may have been started a few times, has not been completed. And we're not ready this evening to have the board take any action as to lead agency, but that is our intent, is to get you a full environmental assessment form in advance of your next meeting, and then at your next meeting to have a vote on lead agency. And we'd have a list of all the involved agencies for you at that time.
So the only qualification with that is if you can get that in well in advance of the meeting so that Mr. Bonesteel has a chance to review it, make sure
Absolutely.
it's complete so that we're not seeing it for the first time that night.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, of course, yes. What would that, sorry, you did just mention these meeting dates, but the next meeting would be
March
the
5th.
5th?
March
Okay.
Has your water engineering report been updated recently or any pressures?
For the public, I don't, I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't believe it's been updated recently. We do anticipate about 6,200 gallons a day based on EPA estimates of water usage. And it's my understanding that we have adequate pressure in that main along Cole Lane, but I would, we'll have to get back to you with that information.
What's the size of houses? roughly?
The size of the houses, Jim, what are you looking at putting here?
Whatever the market bears.
Yeah.
They're nice lots.
1,800 to 2,800, like the other guy said.
What's that?
1,800 to 28. like
Yeah,
the other guy
yeah,
said.
yeah, exactly.
I will say that on the, for the purposes of stormwater, we tend to oversize these footprints to make sure that we don't have to come back and edit anything. So I think the footprint shown on those plans is 2,500 square feet with single story ranch with an attached garage type of thing. But
Material being removed from site.
there will certainly be some materials being removed from site. I'd have to get back to you on those exact figures. Ideally, it is the goal is to balance the site. There may be also a home we can find for any spoils on the site, so that we don't have to. But nothing like the first application.
That'll all be reflected on the environmental assessment form anyway.
Correct. Yes, we have to get all of that for that. Yes.
So the board should expect to get the EAF and, do we need an updated application form and everything, or?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we should be able to get that material by the next meeting?
Yeah, if we're shooting for the meeting on the 5th, we would have all of that into Mr. Bonesteel by the Friday before, at least giving him a week to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, you could, it should go to the town, but you can email me a courtesy copy.
Okay.
To get it to me sooner.
All right. Anybody have any other questions? Then I guess we'll see you on the 5th.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our agenda. We do have one piece of new business, which is the Mavis Tire Supply. Is there anybody here for that? Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Robert Rolls, representing BL Companies. I'm a principal engineer with them. BL is serving as the applicant representing Mavis Tire Supply. I will also be the engineer, state civil engineer of record for this project. Site is located, the address is 721 Hoosick Road, sitting in the northwest corner of Hoosick and Mohawk Ave, having roughly 200 feet of frontage along Hoosick Road. The property is zoned commercial with abutting residential. The lot is approximately 0.65 acres and currently has a 1,700 square foot building that was formerly used as a dentist's office, and roughly 8,500 square feet of additional impervious paved parking area. The existing site elevation is as high as 491 feet in the northwest corner and as low as 478 feet along the Hoosick Road frontage. There is an existing wooden railroad tie retaining wall behind the existing property that cuts the current grade down to about 4 or 5% over the paved area. Proposed improvements include removing the building that's there, construction of a new 6,000 square foot building with 7 retail auto service bays and roughly a 1,400 square foot retail sales area and waiting lounge. We are also proposing roughly 12,000 square feet of paved parking area and/or concrete walk. Access to the site would be off Mohawk Ave. We are proposing site lighting, pavement marking. We'll have 25 parking stalls, 2 ADA accessible stalls. We do not have any expectation of needing or seeking any variances. Other improvements will include dumpster enclosure, off-site improvements to Mohawk Ave, and we're proposing a 4-foot widening on the west side of Mohawk to accommodate school bus turning movements. And while we're only in conceptual phase at this time, we envision a short, roughly 3-foot high retaining wall along the frontage and additional stormwater improvements and landscaping.
The curb cut you have on Mohawk, where is that in comparison to the existing curb cut for the dental office? Is it further up Mohawk?
I believe it is right across. You're talking about the curb cut for the
the
development
entrance
that's
and
being
exit.
built now?
No, the driveway, your
Current
driveway.
Your drive.
Oh,
Current
I'm sorry.
driveway Compared to your proposed driveway for the dental office.
It appears that it is slightly north of the existing driveway.
Is it
Looks
going
to
to
be about 12
possibly
feet.
be across from where the Quick Check is?
It's close.
Yeah. We don't show it on this plan, but we can probably bring that in to show
Now,
that.
you're talking about dangerous territory here, you know that, don't you? Based on the history of this area.
I understand the adjacent area had some
Okay,
opposition.
all right, so, just saying. Probably that should be off the record. I'm assuming.
Well, I can state to that effect that the design team that Mavis has put together, we are prepared for some opposition. We do feel this is an improvement to the area. We have operational statements from Mavis that will be including noise studies, traffic reports, sign submittals, whatever is necessary to make the public feel more comfortable with what's going on.
How much green space do you have there you're proposing?
I know that, so it looks to me that we are proposing roughly 3,000 additional square feet of impervious area versus what is there now. I'm envisioning some green space along the frontage, along the Mohawk area where we're widening, and behind the building. I don't have an actual number on that, but I'm guessing that's going to be,
You don't have the percentage?
I don't have that, no.
Is there, I'm thinking, noise levels, air wrenches, so forth and so on, compressors. What can you tell me about that?
I can tell you that we're planning to submit a noise study that Mavis has done.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet myself, so I don't know what the specifics of it are, but they're happy to supply information to the public and to the board for review.
I mean, just based on the location and the neighborhood and what the response was to other development along there, I'm sure that would be something they're going to be interested in.
Yes.
What would be the hours of operation?
That I do have. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is what has been supplied to me by Mavis as part of their operation statement.
So 7 days a week.
That's what I'm seeing here, yes.
Could you just quickly repeat those again?
Yes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Thank you.
I can check with the client to see if there's any exceptions that they take to those or if that's what they have to have. But that's what they've supplied to me thus far.
Do you have building elevations?
We're not at that level yet. No, it's a single-story building. I certainly will meet height requirements. I can't imagine it's going to be that much taller than the office that's there.
Is this going to look like the one out in North Greenwich?
I'm sorry?
This is like the one that's going to be across the street from the shopping center in North Greenwich.
They do use a standard building style, so yes, it probably would be similar to others that you've seen.
Do you need any variances?
We are not expecting to need any variances, no, sir.
Are you gonna put a sidewalk up your side of Mohawk?
I don't believe we're showing one there now. That's something we could consider.
Same scale.
Okay,
It's within about 40 feet.
okay. Thank you.
Did you say the height of the retaining wall along Hoosick Road is going to be what,
We're expecting it to be roughly 3 feet.
3 feet?
Yeah.
I notice you have a sign in the front here. You probably have signage on the building. That isn't our department, but.
Yeah, they could apply for whatever signage permits they need and review for that. I can say, yes, they generally have a lit monument sign which is what we're showing on the plan, and they do have signage on the building, usually up at the corners of the building.
Okay.
After hours, what's the lighting situation?
We'll provide a full photometric plan. I don't know what obviously, we would seek to reduce any light trespass that's there. I would think they'd probably want to keep their signs illuminated and enough lighting for perhaps a night drop off, if somebody wants to drop their car off at night or something like that. So something over a door, but I don't see that we'd be lighting up the whole parking lot. We can detail that further.
You guys
So you know
tell,
they're gonna have tall poles, or if you're gonna put down lighting on the building.
Yeah, another engineering firm from the design team will be designing the lighting, so I haven't seen that yet, so I don't know for sure. I'm assuming it would be fixtures mounted on the building. I don't know that we would have a need for a site this size for pole mounted lighting.
I think there'll be enough light spilling over from other places.
I'm sorry?
I said, I think there'll be enough light spilling over from other places.
Yeah.
What made you want to go off the Mohawk versus trying to do it for Hoosick Road?
Probably the grades, and it's a state route, so as far as encroachment permitting and things like that, I don't think that would be the safest way to go, just in my judgment. So I think the Mohawk Drive entrance is better. Yeah, it may have been just looking at what was done on the most recently approved project too. But my guess is that a traffic engineer and certainly myself, I would think it's much safer coming off of Mohawk than trying to put a curb cut on Hoosick.
There are no current curb cuts on that property on Hoosick Street, is that correct?
No, sir. There's some grade there too, because obviously we have that 3-foot retaining wall there, so that would pose a kind of a driveway
Her
issue.
property is right at grade.
I'm sorry?
I think the current property at the very front of her property is at grade, but it
Yes.
slopes severely in her parking lot.
Yes.
It's probably outside of the pitch
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah, Mohawk is probably, roughly 8%, I would think, going up Mohawk. It's fairly steep.
Was there any consideration turning this so the base face Mohawk rather than right out? Was it-
I don't know that I've seen many models with 7 bays in that kind of orientation. I think that would have been more difficult for us to do. I'm not quite sure how many different layouts we did with it, but I'm thinking that would shrink the building to the size that wouldn't be attractive to the client, given the slopes.
Just as a note, a set of these plans will have to be sent to the fire company so they can review the curb cuts and fire.
Certainly.
So make a note of that when we get to that point.
you guys sell tires? What other kind of work are you gonna do in there?
Yeah, so it is primarily tire sales, but they do also do, let me read this from, Mavis provides brake, shock and strut, and exhaust system services, as well as oil changes, state inspections, and fluid replacements. They do not perform engine repair. There's no anticipation of having vehicles overnight or idling in the driveway, other than the exception I mentioned earlier, where they might have a night drop off for somebody who wants to get their tires or oil change first thing in the morning or something.
All work will be done inside.
All work is done inside. All used tires are stored inside. They use a double wall 250-gallon tank for new and waste oil. They have an accidental spill plan.
Do they burn their oil? Or do they?
No, it's emptied through a licensed hauler roughly once per month is what they say here. There's no floor drains or anything like that.
How are tires delivered to the site?
They could take all of their deliveries via a 26-foot box truck or smaller.
You said you don't anticipate needing a variance, especially for signage?
We don't, yeah, I didn't go through the signage requirements
Several
to
sites,
the,
and they have like sometimes the tires stacked up with the signs on them, and there might be 3, 4 of those on the site sometimes. And
yeah,
the main sign, the building sign.
if that's not allowed, they won't be proposing to do it.
I just come up with zoning, so I can tell you right now. It's, anything gonna be stored outside, tires?
No, they do make that statement here as well, that there is no new or used tire storage outdoors. Yeah, we would coordinate with the fire marshal, yes. I'm sorry? Whatever is required, yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a,
Do you have any questions, Wayne, at this point?
All I would say is, make sure that you review the site plan regs. Make sure you check all the boxes on that. And be ready to answer any questions.
That's right.
do we want a full EAF?
What's that,
Do we
Linda?
want a full EAF or is the short form okay?
You're gonna
I don't
widen
know.
Mohawk?
I don't know.
just
I'll
up
have
to
to
your
kind of
place,
look at
up
it.
to your driveway?
Yeah, the proposed 4-foot widening goes up roughly to our driveway, which is, well within the turning radius of what we are trying to accomplish is that, and I think what we're trying to accomplish is that school buses could turn in and out without entering into the other lane. So yeah, it goes right up to the beginning of our driveway. I think we are also assuming that we'd be asked to do a mill and overlay on Mohawk up past our driveway as well, although that's not reflected on our concept plan. I think it will be on our proposed submittal.
Do you anticipate having like guidance coming out of the property on the Mohawk that they only go towards Hoosick Street and not up around to come out the other way? 'Cause that was
Yeah.
a concern with the other developers.
Yeah, we did discuss that internally in our office, that we would probably force them to go to Hoosick rather than up Mohawk.
What's the next street up? Roosevelt. That has the light.
That's why it's,
And were we to do the full environmental?
I gotta look at this, see if there's any kind of triggers that might push you to a full EAF. I mean,
Okay,
you're welcome to do one on your own. I won't reject it.
Yeah, maybe we'll just do that.
Yeah,
Have
I
it
mean, yeah, the website checks off a lot of the boxes for you anyway, and then.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the resource mapper that pops out after that.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
You're gonna make a lot of stormwater. They're not gonna let you put it in the drains.
Yeah, so I believe there's geotechnical information on the site. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do. We will have roughly a 3,000 square foot addition to the impervious area. That's what's out there now. So I'm planning that we will have to do something most likely underground. If we can't infiltrate it, we'll store it with a large volume device and
They're having issues on the other corner. The water table, perched water elevations, we do have infiltrators that took a lot of finagling to get them to work properly, so
yeah,
keep that in mind.
we'll We'll look at that in design. We haven't had all the information to do that yet, but that's certainly something we'll get right.
And who knows, maybe that site might be okay. But
Not likely.
Not likely.
All right. Well, we obviously just received this information, so give us a timeline of what you're going to have new material here for us and to take a look at.
Okay, can I get back to you with that?
Well, I think the question is do you want to continue this process by being on our next agenda, or do you want?
I have never had a client tell me to slow down the permitting process, so yeah, I can answer that affirmatively.
So do you want to be tentatively on our next agenda on the 5th of March?
That would be fantastic, yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you are on for the 5th. Just so
Okay.
you know, we only have, we got Paramount. I know you've been here, which was the first people on our list, so you are going to be at the end of the agenda. So you might be here a while.
Understood, thank you.
All right,
March 5th, thank you very much, thank you for your time.
thank you. Okay, is there any other new business? Any old business?
Russ, you want to discuss the joint public hearing?
Ah, yes. I'm a little lost here. Can you
Which application was it?
recap this for us?
That was for Golden Grain Pizza.
Golden Grain, yes, okay. Yes, they have to do a site plan review and they get a variance, they're requesting a
Yeah, they
variance.
needed a variance for the porch, the site, outside porch area where they're going to have some tables on the
And
side.
that in itself actually would have to have an amendment to the site plan.
Well, they've overbuilt the size of that porch, so that in itself amends the site plan
Okay.
as well. And they changed some other features on the site plan. They moved some air conditioning, they changed some concrete work in the back. There's 2 or 3 subtle changes to the site plan that we need you guys blessing.
Okay. So basically, our responsibility is to review the site plan and then possibly the zoning is for any type of variances that they may need.
Correct.
So zoning, it's come before zoning.
Yeah.
And
They're ready
we
to
are
schedule.
trying to coordinate possibly having a joint public hearing. And
At
they,
their meeting.
at their meeting. So their next meeting is on the 12th.
Correct. Let's see, let me just verify that. 16th, I'm sorry, yes.
16th?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the,
16th of March.
okay. And I guess we have to decide whether we want to do that. And
Whether or not you would join that public
did
hearing.
we get an official invitation by the zoning board?
Well,
This is it.
This is it?
I thought we always sent cards.
Okay.
normally they join your meeting typically.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, this could be a switch, yeah.
Yeah,
Are they going to present something to us on the 5th? And then we're going to have a joint public hearing on the 16th?
they could.
Yeah, I mean, we would go in blind if we didn't have something.
Yeah, well, I believe they did hand out the site plans for them, right? They did get a look at it.
I believe you did, I wasn't here that day.
I believe you guys were given a site plan for those.
Okay.
So they could not act on them until,
I think the question I think is here is, regardless of whether we receive it, we'll get it anyway. Do we want to have them on our agenda for the 5th, to be able to present the project, so then we can say, yes, we'll do the public hearing?
on the 5th, you would not have enough time to notice it.
No.
Just a meet and greet.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Nick Costa wouldn't have a problem.
Can we get copies of the material you handed out, because I got no clue where that is?
No, you can't. No, I'm just kidding.
That pile is really deep.
No, I can go down
Yeah,
with a
that's
tape
not-
measure or something.
Yeah, and I can highlight, the differences on the site plan.
Yeah, I mean, we can put them on our agenda for the
Sure.
5th.
But we have to agree to go to the public hearing because they need to notice it as a joint public hearing.
Okay? All right, attention, everybody. We have to agree that we will do the joint public hearing with the ZBA so they can properly notice it. So does anybody have a problem with doing an additional meeting for the public hearing on the 16th, which I believe is a Monday?
It is.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6
That's
o'clock.
That's in the ZBA meetings, yeah.
All right. Is everybody okay with that? And then they will be on our agenda for the 5th, just to give us a presentation, so to justify the public hearing attendance. So, yes, you can pass that along to them, that we will,
Appreciate it.
do we have to have a motion or something like that? Or it just gets noticed properly, that's all?
It'll certainly get noticed.
I think that should be officially done at our next meeting. That we
Making the
reviewed it,
motion.
and we are now going to have a public hearing. We're going to jointly do it.
So the only question is, your next meeting is the 5th.
Yeah.
When is the public notice going to get published? Right.
No, okay, so we have to, okay. In disregard of all that stuff I just
So
said.
if you wanted to have something in the minutes, somebody could offer a quick motion to hold a joint public hearing with the Zoning Board of Appeals in connection with the application of Golden Grain to be held March 16th at 6 PM.
I'll make
Just
the
a-
motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Well done. Dustin. Anything else under old business?
No, not this time.
Everybody all set? Then I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Do we have an agenda? We need an.
Uh-oh, we got to do the agenda.
Everybody jumped on that.
Plus, Kyle Smith's application that they'd like to be on for
March 5th.
March 5th.
Who's that?
Smith.
Oh, Kyle
He
Smith.
was out of town.
I think I
He was
have a
out of town.
note on that.
Yeah, he was out
so
of town for tonight.
I think I have a note somewhere on that. Kyle. Yes, I have a note on that. So that's to review Paramount, Silas, Mavis, and Kyle Smith.
What about AT&T? Oh,
AT&T is on the 19th because we're going to a public hearing. And the 19th also is the public hearing for Fisher.
Golden Grain technically on it.
Golden Grain is going to be on the agenda too. So it's Paramount, Silas, Mavis, and Golden Grain, right?
and Smith.
And Kyle's-
Kyle Smith.
We got you covered, Russ.
Okay, thank you. You all set then? Then I'll vote on the adjournment. All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Thank you.